we moved to Aztec in 1947. And then in 1950, Shelby and Bob bought the orchard out near Bloomfield. Through the years, the orchard, the trees, the apple trees, really don't start bearing until they're 12 years old at best. And there were some peaches planted among the apple trees in one part of the orchard. But the first year that we had the orchard, Bob planted beans in between the trees, and that was not a very profitable operation. In fact, the orchard really didn't start producing and paying a livable wage for a good many years. When we bought the orchard, it was already planted, and as I said, the trees were about 8 years old when we bought it. And at the beginning, the weather was such that the apple crops were almost, you could depend on an apple crop. But as the years went by, the climate changed, and we had these warm spells in the spring, and the blossoms would come out, and then we'd have a cold spell and freeze. Now, in the beginning, Bob irrigated with real irrigation. That's just little, the water comes in and you guide it down through little trenches. And I don't know how many years we did that. Almost every year, Bob, and sometimes I would go with him, would go to fruit growers meetings in Colorado, and one time, and find out new methods of orchard production. And of course, every year, the trees had to be pruned to get the light so that the apples had adequate light to grow and color. And I don't remember how many years it was, but we put in a sprinkler irrigation, and it was called a hose pull. And there were sprinklers, like garden sprinklers, on hoses. And Bob had a little tractor. I don't know what we called it, it was specially built. And he pulled those hoses and irrigated the orchard. Now that cut down a great deal on the labor and the expense of hiring people to help.